Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Mitchell Blake with FishIBX, and this morning we wanted to bring you a little mixed bag episode. We just had a hurricane. Matter of fact, we're 2 days behind a hurricane. It's the 1st of August. It's hot. Humidity's up. Haven't been out since the storm. Once you guys understand, the area we're in is a brackish water system, but we're right on the upper line. Otherwise, we're borderline fresh. A little bit of salt could go extreme salt, could go completely fresh. Otherwise, we're in that really mixed zone, and I'm certain there's a lot of anglers out there that fish the same areas. But we're going to check it out behind the storm. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. It is anyways, it was a 5-foot storm surge, so we had a push of water that came in, a lot of rain, stuff's mixed up, but we're going to see what we can produce. Start out with a little Topwater. Had a few technical difficulties on some batteries this morning, so we're running a little late, but I'm gonna put some Topwater across some spots, just see what happens. And look, as I was running out this morning, it was virtually, I haven't even hardly seen a ripple of bait fish, a fish feeding, a fish moving. So who knows? We're gonna grind it out, show you what happens, see what happens, and see if we can learn something from this episode. And look, we're rolling in on a spot. We had a lot of cloud cover this morning. That is burning off right here on our first little jab. I've seen a few baits flip. Look, there's a lot of structure here. Should be some fish. Who knows? Stripers, red. But I'm gonna give it a little Topwater walk the dog action. And look, one of the first things you want to do is test that drag for the species you want to target. I'm gonna put it about right there. We're gonna give it a whirl, see what happens. As I'm working this plug back, I'm going to work it from a couple of different angles. Mix it up. Like I say, we're going to have to find these fish all over again. Because after a storm event like that, like I say, 5 foot of water came in and ripped out in less than a 12-hour period. So we know we've had a big water exchange. And I watch a lot of videos, talk to a lot of people that fish, you know, just straight salt water, and they don't have nearly the mix like we have. And what I mean by mix is, you know, whether that rain is sitting on top, fresh water sitting on top, whether that saltwater wedge pushed up. The only way to find out is to come out here and give it a test run every day. Every day is a new day. I feel confident there's a fish here. He's going to look up and check this thing out. But we shall see. Hook got hung up at the time. I'll still try to save the cast. Actually got in some grass. There's one checking it out. There he is. Doesn't feel like a huge fish. I thought it was more than one there to begin with. And I don't know if it wasn't. Actually, it is. There's another fish following it. I almost had a twofer. Come here, buddy. Little striper. Drop that right there for 1 second. There's actually two fish kind of fighting over these baits. All right, post-hurricane, first striper. And like I say, we're in the August heat, buddy. Come on over there. Little guy. A little bit of bait running right there. Anyhow, we're gonna get him back in the drink. See you, buddy. All right, we know there was another fish chasing, so we're gonna make another cast down that same line. If you notice when I pulled in here, when I left the house, I looked at the way the water was pulling. When I left the creek, the water was pulling out. So I set up on the upward river here to cast on a structure. Well, here is actually flowing in. Another great part about where we live at that you don't hear a lot about. A lot of people fish tides or what have you. Here, we don't have a tidal system per se. Otherwise, it could be pulling 1 minute, coming back the next minute, hour later pulling again. And sometimes that affects how these fish bite. They like to bite when it's pulling. That's all there is to it. So I'm coming back down that same line. Let's see if his brother wants to play. There's a good bite. We came right back down that same line. Feels like about the same size fish, and there's a piling. Really didn't want that to happen. Really didn't want that to happen. I usually try to get it up, gang, to keep it out of that piling, because on those pilings you got barnacles. Let's do a retie. All right, gang. That fish just cut me off on a piling. I was on the same cast, so I'm gonna do a quick retie. And there's always that debate whether to use fluorocarbon or monofilament. And I have used both. I use them for different circumstances. I'm gonna give this line one more try. I actually had a fish cut me off the other day. I don't know whether I'm in a bad spool of line, but I know I'm dealing with obstacles. I know these posts all have barnacles on them and what have you. Underwater structure. So sometimes I will go direct braid to a lure and have no problem with it. You may get some tangle, but I think it will save you a few fish. The verdict is out on this line, whether it's a bad spool. I've had them come straight off the shelf, and matter of fact, I have sent some of them back to companies. Some of them will stand behind it, some of them will not, but anyhow, nonetheless, we're gonna give it one more shot. And if that happens again like that, that spool is going by the wayside. So what I'm doing here is a double uni to uni. I doubled my braid over to give me a little bit more strength. And I'm gonna wet it and pull this down. Cinch those together. I mean, that feels strong. Man, I hated that. This happened to me the other day. Curse of the camera. We were shooting some footage the other day on the fly rod, and I had a situation where I caught two really nice fish, and both of them got me. Both of them got me. Hung up. And that was the footage for today. All right, this time I'm doing a loop knot. Clip my tags. I'm going single lure this time. And that last shot you saw, I had a double lure. I used that for a couple different reasons. It's August, there's still a lot of fry in the water, stuff that's tiny, you know what I mean? Inch long, inch and a half, 2 inches long. And it's hard to get a topwater plug to kind of match the hatch per se. So I'll run a little pre-runner, which makes it look like the bait these fish are chasing. So that was the dynamic behind that lure I was throwing a while ago. This time I'm going single. Because as you saw in that first cast, I don't know whether the camera got it, but I had 2 fish try to eat it. That second one, I think 2 fish ate it at the same time as well. But they went straight to a piling. I'm gonna spin us around. And I'm gonna come right back down that same line, who knows? Let's see if there's another fish there. And a lot of times when I'm fishing, like I say, I'll work it just like the hands on a clock. If I don't get a strike, I'll go right back to the next cast beside it. If I don't get a strike, I keep moving, keep moving, keep moving. Looks like those guys down the way there are dealing with a sunken boat from the storm. Sometimes you have to trade this topwater stuff up. Sometimes you can work it fast. Sometimes you need to be soft. Sometimes it needs to be, and you know, it all kind of depends on what the fish are doing. That was a bust. It definitely looks like somebody sunk a crab boat down the way this morning. Either a storm got or they sunk the boat this morning. Either way, I thought my battery situation was starting me out to be a bad day, but that's a much worse. I got that boat up and going now. All right, we'll come back down this line. 1 or 2 fish busted out here on this outside line. Fish just broke on that outside. Let's see what we got here. There, one little checker. There he is. Still after it. Still under it. Swing and a miss. But back to what I was saying. You just saw it on video. I made a couple casts with that tandem lure. With that tandem lure, multiple fish hit it. Multiple fish got excited about it and took it. Oftentimes you'll catch 2 fish. You've seen me roll through with a single lure a couple times with strikes on it, and we didn't hook up. What I see behind that a lot of times is throwing a single lure. The fish might have seen it before, and they're a little bit apprehensive about it. They'll come up, they may hit it. Now, sometimes they'll jam on it, but there are days that it won't. There's days they won't even look at this, and you can throw a tandem topwater lure, and it'll change the game. Otherwise, they get excited. Because I fish, I guide all the time, and when I tie on a tandem and hand it to a customer, 99% of them say, hey, what's this? They haven't seen it before, hadn't used it, haven't done it. And I guarantee you that will put a few more fish in the boat for you. These fish are busting on bait right out there. I'm gonna get to them real quick. Come here, buddy, buddy, buddy. Man, shouldn't have made a long cast, huh? Let's see if they're still out there. Just beyond, they popped up again. Send a long shot out there and see if those fish are still out there. And this is nothing more than a spook junior. There's a good fish. This fish came up chasing shad out there. And usually, they may work up and down a shoreline. They may go 100 yards. They may go to the next county, but if they're on bait, sometimes they'll hang around for a bit. Doesn't feel like a very big fish, but nonetheless, he counts, right? And he come unbuttoned. Again, single lure. He hit it. Wasn't a very big fish, but some of it might have been that he wasn't all that aggressive. He made a swirl at it and just got stuck there a little bit. But and when I broke those fish off, I just reached back on the console there and grabbed a lure that had been riding on my console, kind of as a backup. For my charters, I keep all my lures in a box. I keep those hooks sharpened. Otherwise, rainy day, downtime, winter day, you're bored, can't sleep, get up and sharpen hooks, put them back in the box. So if you get a fish that makes a swirl on it, a lot of times, you get a connection, you can stick him. This lure, on the other hand, has been riding around, like I say, been riding around in the glove box. And I just did a quick grab, trying to utilize what we got left of the light here, so, or before the sun pops out and burns these fish off. Because this is indeed summertime topwater fishing. And usually you'll get a window. And when that window closes in, you're done. I see you, baby. hurricane. What was the name of that hurricane, Jaden? Isaias. Hurricane Isaias. I hope that isn't wrong. We had a little wind, a little water, some tree limbs down. Got a lot more water than what I thought we were going to get. I was actually thinking we'd get a couple of feet, you know, on that surge, but she came on up. All right, give us a little spin back here. And you can tell the water's rising. I got the power pole down and you can see it spinning us around. So that water's actually pulling this way. Because there isn't a breath of wind. It's not pulling hard, but it's pulling a little bit. And this river on rising water fishes a lot better on falling water. Matter of fact, most all our rivers here fish a little better on falling water. There's a little checker. Let me check him. Thought he had it, man. I gave him a little pull. Oftentimes, keep it in sequence. If they miss it, you just keep it moving, running away from him. A lot of times, he'll come back and make another tag at it. Again, not an extremely aggressive bite. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna retie double real quick, just to see. Actually, give me one more shot. A couple of fish moving out there. Can't help myself. All right, real quick. I'm going to take this back to a tandem. Like I say, as you can see, we've had a couple of blow-ups on this, stuck a fish, being kind of lazy, kind of sloppy on it. I want it crisp, clean, get up and go. So I'm going to go back to a tandem with this rig, and hope you guys enjoyed that little episode. Like I say, if you're topwater fishing throughout the year, throughout the season, kind of match what's happening in your bait situation. If you're fishing after a storm, don't kind of, you know, the only way you're going to figure out what's happening, if the fish have gotten washed out, if the water's gotten muddy, stained, oxygen's out, is to go get after it. So anyhow, I'm going to switch back. You guys stay tuned. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the join button. If you want to charter, come check us out, FISHIBX.com.